Hi traders. Adam Harris here. So what I'm going to do quickly is run through some of the recent trades very quickly and some of the upcoming trade ideas that I have. So really, first of all, we generally have a very strong dollar. This dollar index is just really testing the limits here. Again, the problem is it's still in an area where it could potentially reverse. And the thing here is that everything looks quite weak, actually. Euro dollar is ranging now. It's ping-ponging between these levels. It's still testing the levels here. It does look as though it's potentially going to break out. All of this looks like it's going to follow through, but we're just not there yet. So there's, what I mean by that is there are subtle signs of a possible bit of resistance there, and there's also signs of it wanting to break out. So there's a battle going on at this time. Cable as well is relatively speaking stronger than the euro against the dollar, and even this you can see it's sort of battling against this level. Usually when we get price pulling back into these areas here, let me just enlarge that, and we get this kind of resistance and a bit of exhaustion showing in here, and then a bearish candle, we might often get a bit of a breakout and then a move to the downside. So again, I'm sort of 60-40 to the downside, but the strangest thing, as usual, we haven't really had a proper correction. And so there's a couple of reasons why we might find the dollar decides to come back into the range. And so until that time. Now, today, we have interest rate announcement. There's no real reason to have a rate cut. The market's already on fire. It's already kind of got that tequila in the punch bowl. Doesn't make sense to do a rate cut, but apparently they're talking about doing that. A rate cut can potentially weaken a currency. So we're going to see if that does something there. Now, Aussie dollar, US dollar already breaking up, well, coming back down to a major level of support. Very, very weak against the US dollar, but the Kiwi as well. So both Aussie and Kiwi particularly weak. There was a bit of a pullback here. I actually didn't talk about this. Was a Friday setup. It's a golfing bearish candle, retesting that level of support, breaking out of that range. You could see that. So we could see again that stronger dollar coming through. Dollar Swissy, I'm waiting for a bit of a pullback here. We'll see if that dollar is going to continue to strengthen and Swissy looks good. We're going to continue. We're going to see a bit of a pullback and a continuation to the upside there. Dollar CAD as well just is on fire, just continues to break outside of this. The only thing to be aware of with this is these historical highs with lots of rejection. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do ultimately get that. But between now and when it reaches those levels, any kind of pullbacks here, I would be looking for buy opportunities. So just while I'm recording this, there aren't, strictly speaking, any opportunities so far, but I want you to know what's on my watch list and why it's on my watch list. Dollar yen still within this pennant triangular shape, whichever way you want to call it, building up to that pressure, potentially looking to break out to the upside. So something worth watching, but nothing just yet. I had been looking to short the yen pairs, and actually a lot of those set up. Very few of them triggered, but a couple of did. So there were a couple of losing trades there because, and this happens sometimes, there was this contradiction between the higher time frame and the daily, which is frustrating, but it happens. And so euro yen, for example, I was looking for a follow through here, looking for it to find resistance in this area, and instead it didn't, came back up. So in other words, the yen pairs are still trying to decide what they want to do. Pound yen as well. This was a setup I was looking for. This was a losing trade. It did break the low and then stop out and then pull back. And still, it's also stuck within a wedge shape. So it's not unusual right now, this time of year, but there's also something extra going on in the markets. You can see as well, recently we've had the yen pairs sort of kick off and they look bearish. I really would just stand back now when that happens and just see how it's ultimately going to unfold. So really what it potentially looks like, we might finish with a bearish weekly candle, which means that actually later on it does end up going down. My point is this, is right now there's just something going on in the markets. For example, these bearish setups, and then they just haven't gone anywhere. So basically the yen pairs are not quite sure what they want to do at this time. Here was a setup that I really did quite like. I missed the entry here. This was CAD yen. I was talking about this before. Hasn't really gone anywhere. And the second, this was the other trade. This was the second trade, which was a Euro GBP setup. This one did trigger. Then it came back and stopped out, and it's now back down below those lows. So again, this is that kind of very messiness that I've been talking about, where it triggered, looked really good. Actually, I think this one was just shy of a break even. Didn't hit my first target. I'm not sure. I'll need to double check that one. I've got a whole lot of other trades on the go. I'll need to have a look at that one and see what the result, whether that was a break even or if it was just shy of it. But came back and now breaking back below that. So what do I mean when I say that? Well, the momentum is still bearish. So I'm not going to be completely surprised if Euro GBP continues to trend lower. Just annoying to have that at least not get to maybe 1-to-1, so you can kind of, or at least 2-to-1, so you can bank some profit on that. It doesn't always have to be 3-to-1. 1-to-1, any money that you make on a trade or break even is better than a losing trade, obviously, but nice to be able to get a little bit extra, especially when the move is very short and it's a bit choppy. So again, here you can see Euro Swissy pulling back up, so the trend was very nice and bearish. It's reversed back up